ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Telling the stories from all four corners of our great state. News Radio 830, WCCO, WCCO HD, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
CBS News, I'm Jim Shenevy. The death toll is up to 29 and could go much higher from a pair of earthquakes in southern Japan. The latest hitting Saturday morning and racking up a 7.3. The search for victims and survivors continues. Lucy Kraft reports from Tokyo.
Japan state broadcaster NHK showed emergency workers startled by another strong aftershock. A squad leader orders them to put on their helmets as an automatic earthquake alarm system repeats. This is an earthquake. Since the latest major quake, aftershocks have been striking at a rate of about 3 or 4 every hour. Damage has been worst to old wooden buildings without quake reinforcement. Lucy Kraft, CBS News, Tokyo.
North Korea's failed attempt at another missile launch Friday may have just been the tip of the iceberg when it comes to its defiance of UN sanctions. U.S. officials are concerned about satellite evidence that the North is gearing up to produce more plutonium for nuclear warheads. One image taken at a known nuclear complex shows a rail car with tanks or casks possibly used to supply chemicals or to haul out waste. Donald Trump doubled down on his criticism of GOP leadership during a speech to supporters in Hartford, Connecticut Friday. Trump describing the Republican nominating process as rigged and warning that millions of GOP voters might stay home if he's denied the nomination. CBS's Steve Chigueras.
The RNC has been responding to the rules of the rules. The rules have been out there since last year. It's up to the campaigns to study the rules and figure out how these delegates are selected. And in Trump's case, he can't complain about the rules because they've been out there in plain sight for months.
Apple's feud with the government over iPhone security continues even after the FBI was able to crack the San Bernardino terrorist phone with the help of an unidentified third party. Reporter Paula Reed.
A New York drug trafficking case appears to be the next battleground for the ongoing dispute between the government and tech giant Apple. The government wants Apple to extract data off a phone belonging to a man who has already pled guilty to a federal drug charge. The government says it still wants data from the phone, saying it is looking for evidence of a larger drug conspiracy. Apple refuses, saying the government doesn't have the legal authority to compel its assistance in this case.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says the league finds North Carolina's new law limiting anti-discrimination protection for LGBT people problematic. But there's no decision on moving next year's All-Star game out of Charlotte.
Ultimately, our interest is in conducting a successful All-Star game in North Carolina, having a team that can play in North Carolina in a non-discriminatory environment.
Meantime, Silver made it official. Teams will be able to sell advertising space on their jerseys starting with the 2017-18 season. The EPA has dropped proposed language from new emissions rules that would have required pollution control equipment on vehicles used for racing. Critics say it could have ruined the competitiveness of NASCAR and would have chased some competitions out of the country altogether. This is CBS News.
WCCO update. I'm Edgar Linares. A woman is critically injured after she was thrown from her car in a bad crash in South Minneapolis this afternoon. The crash was at Lake Street and Park Avenue. John Elder is spokesman for the Minneapolis Police Department.
Upon arrival, officers found a woman who was ejected from one of the vehicles and pinned between that vehicle and a second vehicle at the scene.
The woman was rushed to HCMC in critical condition. 2 other adults were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 3 cars were involved in the crash. Elder says it appears one of the vehicles ran a red light. Prince fans can relax. One of his reps tells TMZ he is home and okay after his plane made an emergency landing in Illinois last night when he was not feeling well. The rep says Prince has been battling the flu for several weeks, canceled 2 shows, but wanted to make last night's performance in Atlanta, even though he wasn't feeling well. Apparently, he got worse after the show, so the plane stopped in Moline, Illinois, where he was treated at a hospital and released 3 hours later. Another warm, windy day has prompted the National Weather Service to issue a fire weather watch. WCCO meteorologist Mike Lynch says it's prime time for wildfires.
Not an outright red flag warning, but just be careful with matches and fire out there. When it greens up a little bit, the conditions will get a little bit better, and a little moisture would help. But really, over the next week or so, not seeing much in the way of rain.
The DNR has already issued a burning ban for much of the state, including the Twin Cities. There were wind gusts of up to 30 miles per hour this afternoon. The Dakota County attorney will not file charges in a fatal crash during a Nerf Wars game that resulted in the deaths of 2 Lakeville South students. 17-year-old Jake Flynn and 18-year-old Johnny Price were thrown from a pickup truck that rolled over in Lakeville this past December. It was determined that 2 teens as well as 2 others in the truck were all participating in a game of Nerf Wars, a game where participants get points for shooting each other with Nerf guns. As vinyl makes a major comeback in the music world, record store owners are embracing an entire day dedicated to saving the sound. Record Store Day started in 2008, and Bob Fuchs of Minneapolis' Electric Fetus says at first they were skeptical of the holiday.
This kind of sounds like a last gasp of a dying industry, and we didn't really know anything about it. But then when we saw what they were doing, putting out limited re-releases and the attention they were going to get, and the fans just came out in droves. It was kind of unexpected.
Fuchs says he expects a big crowd for tomorrow's all-day event, which features local bands, food trucks, and limited release records that he says will have customers lining up tonight to ensure they have first picks. More than 30 record stores across Minnesota are partaking in the event. And that's the latest. I'm Edgar Linares, WCCO.
The weather watcher is white, partly cloudy overnight with a low of 58, partly cloudy and breezy tomorrow. High 75 with a low of 56, cloudy on Sunday. High 74 with a low of 51, chance of an isolated shower. Cloudy on Monday, high 65 with a low of 46. Average highs and lows 58 and 37 for this time of year. Currently in the Twin Cities, it's cloudy and 69 degrees, overcast and 66 at St. Cloud. Scattered clouds and 65 at Alexandria, Northfield 65, and in Rochester it's clear and 61.
WCCO is traffic helper in a box. Tasty tidbits of information on your way there and on your way home. Be late or be smart. Smart Radio, News Radio, 830 WCCO. Always.
Attention taxpayers. This is a tax service announcement from the tax pros at Jackson Hewitt. Tax day is around the corner. If you're in the process of filing